Good Monday morning. What you're looking at here is the cover of a small little magazine called Fate Magazine. Now, I'm in my chilly office this morning. I just wanted you to see the Ganesha posters there. Constance has been so good at posting all of those things. Let's see what else we got. Oh, there's more Ganeshas and chickens and things like that. Anyway, let me get a little more of myself. Yes, I'm bundled up because it's very chilly. It froze last night. There was a little frost on the bird bath this morning. Takes a while to get the house heated up, and I'm still very cold. So, thank you to the nice person who anonymously sent the small electrical room heater, which I am using every day in the living room when I do my writing. But anyway, in a roundabout way, I like to see what I was doing 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and it occurred to me that 20 years ago in December of 2003, my book, Understanding Alistair Crowley's Thoth Tarot, got a review in Fate magazine. Now, that might not sound like that it would excite you, but Fate magazine was a magical thing in my life. I was born 1948 in Long Beach, California. And my aunt, my father's sister, Vina, or Elvina, was still alive, and she had a beauty shop in, I think, Belmont Shores, or around there. Long Beach area, closer to the beach. And she had a beauty shop, and I was immobile. I was not allowed to walk because of my hip condition. So I was carried everywhere for quite a while. And when my mother visited my aunt's beauty shop, she lived at the beauty shop. Her apartment was in the back of the beauty shop. And I don't know if you've ever smelled the smell of home permanent chemicals, but they're god awful. And that was the way her apartment smelled. And I was crawling around on the carpet in those years. And she smoked. Oh, she smoked cool cigarettes. So a menthol, terrible, deadly thing, killed her eventually. And I remember crawling around her carpet in the back of the beauty shop, and she and my mother were gossiping. But she had a pedestal ashtray that fascinated me. It stood about, I don't know, 3.5 feet high. And next to the pedestal ashtray, she had a magazine rack. And in the magazine rack, she had little books. Oh, would you excuse me for a second? No, I'm sorry. He passed away. No, it was murder. No, they haven't caught me. They haven't caught him. No, you can go ahead and send it to his wife. Yes. Goodbye. She had little books in her magazine rack. And I was fascinated. The little book was Fate magazine, and it had like flying saucers on the front of it, and really cool looking things. And I remember just kind of looking through it like you would a comic book, and there was really cool occult things and seance-y kind of things, and spooks and ghosts and flying saucers, and I thought that was so cool, and I thought Aunt Vina was so cool. And Fate magazine, that was the name of it. Okay, I could almost read those four letters. So Fate magazine, all of a sudden, was implanted in my mind. And of course, as I grew older and was interested in, well, I just naturally became interested in reincarnation and things like that. And there were articles, not only in Fate magazines, but in Popular Mechanics did stories on reincarnation, and Brady Murphy and things like that. But anyway, to make a long story short, no, to make a long story hopefully less long, Fate magazine was a big thing in my occult career, and so along about 2003, when Understanding Alistair Crowley's Thoth Tarot was getting reviews, it got a good review in Fate magazine. And in the back of my head, I said, I've made it. I've made it to Fate magazine. Let's see if I can even find I probably can't find the picture of it, but it was a good review. It was a good review, and it really helped sales. So that was December 2003, and by October 2004, I was asked by the editors of Fate if I wanted to contribute an article. And that article was The Terrors of the Threshold, about astral projection. And up until then, I hadn't done any writing for what was kind of overtly commercial, mainstream, wonder bread, white bread occultism, like Fate magazine. Okay, I was into Crowley and kind of Golden Dawn-ish kind of stuff, and tarot and things. And so I've never written with an eye toward the public at large. Okay, but I wrote an article this in October 2004. And it was called The Terrors of the Threshold. Okay, and I've probably read that story to you. That worked out pretty good. Okay, I sort of felt out the turf. And by September 2005, I wrote the head article, the #1 article in it, about John Dee and Edward Kelly and Enochian magic, and how Enochian magic has been instrumental in several workshops that I've done concerning people's reincarnations. EHNB is particularly good spirit to give you a vision of a previous incarnation. Well, once I broke the hymen of Fate magazine with the 2003 book review, and then I opened it up and lubricated it a little bit more with Terrors of the Threshold, then I really started to get pretty heavy ceremonial magic with John Dee and Edward Kelly. Then Fate magazine, White Bread Fate magazine, in October of 2005, finally, Fate goes all hardcore. The number of the beast, okay. Oh, and then haunted theaters. That's just perfect. And and once again, it's the head article. And I had arrived. Okay. And if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read that that thing about Alistair Crowley, if you don't mind. I've done it before. I've shared it with you before here. But let's see. And there's other articles about the beast and 666 and things like that. So, but this, I have a little short thing here at page 10. Okay. 8, 9. "666, What's in a Number?" by Lon Milo DuQuette. By little Lonnie Milo DuQuette, crawling across the tobacco reeking carpet of his aunt in Long Beach, California. Are you afraid of the number 666? If you were issued an automobile license plate or a telephone number that included a string of 3 sixes, would you ask for a different number? Do you think the number 666 is inherently evil? Do you believe any number can in and of itself be evil? The issue of Fate magazine that you are holding in your hands right at this moment is issue number 666. Okay. The 666 word in this article is, quote, dead. Does this make you just a little nervous? If it does, you're not alone. There's a name for your condition: hexacoxiohexcontahexaphobia. The fear of the number 666. Everyone has at least 1 or 2 superstitions that we feel somehow comfortably obliged to observe. My father was a geologist and a high-degree Freemason. He was, for the most part, a very logical and scientific man. Still, he was oddly superstitious about little things like spilling salt and walking under ladders. For a lot of people, the number 666 is particularly terrifying. After all, it's the devil's number, isn't it? For the better part of 2,000 years, many in the Western world have certainly thought so. So what is it about these 3 digits that makes so many of us uncomfortable? The revelation of St. John. The dreaded number makes its first and only appearance in the last book of the New Testament, the Revelation of St. John the Divine, oftenly mistakenly called Revelations. A book that for centuries has been interpreted by theologians as a document prophesying the terrible events that will take place at the end of the world. Early church fathers decided that John, the author of the Revelation, was the same John who wrote the Gospel according to John, the last of the 4 Gospels. Modern experts from a wide range of religious and non-religious persuasions agree this is probably not the case. The style of the Greek writing and other obvious differences suggest the 2 books were penned by different individuals. Certainly, many Bible students are reassessing their theories concerning the book of the Revelation, exactly when it was written and what it was originally trying to communicate. There's now a growing consensus among scholars that what John was actually describing in veiled imagery, understandable to his contemporary audience, was not the millennial end of the world, but an expose of the all too earthly details of the horrendous Holocaust at the hands of the Romans that ended the Second Jewish Revolt in AD 72. This event destroyed Jerusalem and the Jewish temple and dispersed the Jews. For our purposes, it really doesn't matter. The fact remains that the book has become a permanent fixture in the cultural consciousness of Western civilization. So, let's look for a moment at what tradition informs us about John, the man Jesus called the beloved disciple. After the crucifixion, John was arrested and banished to the tiny Isle of Patmos in the Aegean Sea, a place renowned in the ancient world for 2 things: its barren isolation and the fact that the powerful hallucinogenic mushroom Amanita muscaria grew in abundance. We'll never know for certain whether or not John, knowingly or unknowingly, was influenced by the magic mushroom. He does, however, take care to tell the reader that he was, quote, in the Spirit on the Lord's day when the vision began. And few can deny his book does indeed read like a classic shamanistic or psychedelic experience. The vision is peopled with an awesome array of strange and terrible characters: 7 angels, 4 horsemen, a lamb, a lion, an eagle, a dragon, locusts with tails like scorpions and heads like long-haired women, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, the archangel Michael, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations, and of course, the Antichrist. There are wars and plagues, and what sounds suspiciously like an asteroid collision with the Earth. Lots of people die, and the good dead people are rewarded while the bad dead people are made to wish they were deader. It's written in such a way, excuse me, as to make you feel pretty darn worried, even if you're confident you'll be one of the good dead people. In chapter 13, we meet 2 beasts, one from out of the sea and the other from out of the earth. The first beast has 7 heads and 10 horns and looks like a leopard with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. To this beast is given the power and authority from a great fiery dragon, the serpent called the, quote, devil and, quote, Satan. Actually, the quote goes both of the, quote, devil and Satan, unquote. A character who is introduced to us in a preceding chapter. The second beast comes out of the earth and has 2 horns like a lamb and speaks like a dragon. This beast is identified by the numeric code in the last verse of chapter 13. Quote, "Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666." The second beast performs all sorts of miracles that confuse most everyone about who is just exactly who are the good guys and who are the bad guys in this whole messy affair. The book is so cryptic that it is open to almost infinite interpretations. It is not at all clear whether or not this beast 666 is the Antichrist or the Antichrist's friend or exactly what. It's all very frightening and bewildering, and Bible scholars and theologians have debated for centuries over just who's who and what it all might mean. The second beast. One thing seems clear, at least on the surface, that the second beast, number 666, is somehow in cahoots with the dark forces that work their mischief to bring about the end-time events. The idea that has tantalized people for 2,000 years is the thought that this key player in the end-of-the-world drama is not some invisible angel or spiritual abstraction, but a flesh and blood man. A man we might be able to identify by his number. How can a number represent a man? The obvious answer is numerology. Remember, I'm writing this for the Fate magazine audience. But what system of numerology? Hebrew, Greek, Latin, Aramaic, English? Nobody really knows. John's book was written in Greek by a Jew who spoke Aramaic, the language spoken by Jesus and his disciples. And he lived in a Roman-occupied world. Hebrew, Greek, Latin, and Aramaic are all written in alphabets whose letters also represent numbers. It's anybody's guess which, if any, of the languages should be used to count the number of the beast. Earliest Christians, who believed the world was going to end immediately, doesn't that get a little old after a while? But I digress. The Christians used Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew numerology to finger as 666 the wicked Roman Emperor Nero, whose monstrous reign parallels the horrors of John's vision. And many ancient and modern experts agree. But since the apocalypse didn't happen in the first century, at least not in the way predicted in the Revelation, people have been eagerly looking forward to the end of the world, seeking out individuals they don't like and trying to make their names add up to 666. Likely candidates have been Martin Luther, Henry VIII, Robespierre, Napoleon Bonaparte, George Washington, and his alleged Illuminati double, Adam Weishaupt. Lenin, Adolf Hitler, Stalin, Chairman Mao, Franklin Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and Harry S. Truman, Prince Charles, King Juan Carlos of Spain, Mikhail Gorbachev, Bill Clinton, Osama bin Laden, and both George Bushes. And oh, I almost forgot it all. I almost forgot all the popes. Anyone can be 666. It takes some doing, but given enough time and armed with the numerological tricks of the Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, Latin, and English alphabets, you can make anyone's name add up to 666. But there's one thing that all these accused beasts have in common. None of them actually came right out and confessed to the world that they were the beast 666. There was, however, one man in the not too distant past who proudly claimed the title. His name was Alistair Crowley. And during his lifetime, the newspapers called him the wickedest man in the world. Let me see what time it is here. Well, let's see. Should I split this up into two parts? Oh, I don't think so. I'm gonna finish if you don't mind. Pour yourself another cup of coffee. Chances are, if you've heard anything about Alistair Crowley, it probably wasn't good. During his lifetime, and remember, I'm writing this for a more general audience than knowledgeable occult audience. So for many people reading this is their first introduction to Alistair Crowley. I don't know if I should be proud of that or not. During his lifetime and for many years after his death, his reputation has been that of a perfectly nasty man, a black magician. Admittedly, for Victorian England, he was a pretty wild character, and Edwardian, I should have added too. If he were alive today, however, I'm afraid he would not be considered very frightening at all. In fact, in the last few years, several excellent and very well-researched biographies of Crowley have been published that have dispelled many of the untrue rumors and false accusations, including some very compelling and remarkably unevil reasons why he would claim to the title of Beast 666 under the heading, The World's Wickedest Man. Paradoxes define the life and careers of Edward Alexander Crowley, 1875 to 1947. He was a very strange man who often behaved like a cad and a scoundrel. Notorious as he was, however, he was never charged with, arrested for, or convicted of any crime whatsoever. Apparently, his greatest crime was that of poor judgment. He believed that any publicity was good publicity, and he happily cultivated a perfect public reputation for being a black magician. He thought everyone would get the joke. Unfortunately, few people during his lifetime got the joke or appreciated his genius. Be that as it may, he led quite a life. Among other distractions, he was a world-class mountaineer, chess master, painter, poet, sportsman, novelist, literary critic, and theatrical producer. As ghostwriter for Evangeline Adams, he introduced astrology to the modern world by writing the two most popular books on the subject ever penned, Astrology, Your Place in the Sun, 1927, and Astrology, Your Place Among the Stars in 1930. One of the most astonishing roles Crowley played on the stage of world events was that of secret agent. At a moment in history when the United States was seriously considering entering World War I on Germany's side, Crowley worked under the cover for British intelligence, secured a job writing for an English-language German propaganda newspaper in New York. There he wrote a series of outrageous and insanely inflammatory editorials that hailed Kaiser Wilhelm as the new Jesus Christ, advocated unrestricted submarine warfare against all the world's civilian shipping, and boasted that it was God's will that Germany rule the world. These wild statements did not reflect Germany's foreign policy. But the citizens of the United States did not know that. In short order, Crowley's editorials were being quoted by U.S. senators and congressmen who used them as evidence that Germany was a nation gone mad. The U.S. finally joined the conflict on England's side, largely due to Crowley's ingenious disinformation campaign. At the request of his friend, Naval Intelligence Officer Ian Fleming, yes, creator of James Bond, Crowley provided Winston Churchill with valuable insights into the superstitious mindset of the leaders of Hitler's Third Reich during the Second World War. He suggested that Churchill exploit the Nazis' magical paranoia by being photographed as much as possible, giving the two-fingered V for victory gesture, a powerful symbol of destruction and annihilation, Typhon, Apophis and Typhon, that according to magical tradition is capable of defeating the perverted solar energies represented by the Nazi swastika. So like stone, scissors, paper, Apophis and Typhon beats swastika. Crowley's adventures and achievements, more than any dozen men of ambition and genius could hope to garner in a lifetime, are dwarfed by his monumental exploits of spiritual self-discovery. His visionary and mystical writings and his efforts bring together the spiritual systems of East and West and make him one of the most fascinating cultural and religious figures of the 20th century. Oh, I'm going to have to pick this up tomorrow. It's a little bit longer than I thought. I'll pick it up where it says Crowley reborn frequently. Anyway, that's my little part one of my Fate magazine adventure. And so until tomorrow, which will probably be a parking lot day where St. Constance and I will probably see you tomorrow morning from the parking lot of Sprouts. So until then, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.